Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday.
Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Let me know how you're going. If you're in the walnut tree or if you're just a listener, share and tag, message me on the social medias and let me know how your walnuttings are going. This week, Walnut, I want to share, it's going to be a little bit of story time and a little bit of like woo-woo symbolism here. Because within a walnutting, I gained a lot of symbolism from. Okay, I might just get into it without trying to be like ambiguical, ominous, whatever, looming. Anyway, let's get to the story. Walnut, if you don't know, I am really, really petrified of bees and wasps, to the point where I don't know if I'm allergic because I've already run a mile the minute something buzzes anywhere near me that is bee-like form. Even sometimes I like get like so scared if there's like a big buzzy fly because I'm like scared it might potentially be a bee or a wasp. Very scared of them. Very scared of them. Oh, it makes me. I get a bodily reaction of how actual afraid I am of them. I remember one time when I was little, we were skipping and a wasp got like stuck in my hair and I like was hyperventilating, having a panic attack. No one would help me. They were like, oh, no one would help get it off me. And then I don't know, like my lucky bloody stars or something. I walked under like a skipping rope. I remember this so vividly, Walnut. I could feel it buzzing on my head. It felt all stuck in my hair. And I walked under a skipping rope and they swiped my head. It was all by accident. And the wasp was like removed from my head. But trauma. And I don't know if that was the start of my fear of bees, but I definitely remember that memory. I was like primary school or elementary school, Walnut, if you don't know what primary school is. Young, like little lads, like maybe 6 or 7. Like, I was a little girl. So there's a little backstory about me. Let me know if you're afraid of them too. I mean, we all do, Walnut, have like irrational fears of some sorts, right? Like there are weird ones. I also have another one that I can't really explain, but I don't know where it came from. And I just have it, always have. And this is the thing, I know that bumblebees are so necessary and so lovely and wonderful. Just the buzz and the thought of their fur like scares me. But wasps, they look like they wanna hurt you. They look like they want to do some damage on your ass. And so yeah, it like bumblebees, I can kind of tolerate a little bit. The furry ones, nah, no, even that I can't. So anyway, that's like the little surface of the story, Warner. I have a fear of bees and wasps, always have, don't know how, don't know why. I'm not sure if I have an allergy. I'm always running a mile. They scare me. But my story time is I have been seeing the symbolism of bees everywhere. And you know how things randomly, you always know if, for me, Walnut, I always know if it's like actually some form of like doing air bunny quotes, spiritual messaging or not, because it will happen in the most random of places. You know how they say that if a white feather pops up randomly, it's like an angel trying to say something to you, like in the most random spots. So I find little moments like this to be quite symbolic. And for me, there was this, I had one instance with a bee, which I can't quite remember what it was. And then secondly was I pulled my shopping bags up on the bench and I was putting them away and I moved the bag and all of a sudden was this huge fucking bumblebee, like so big. Geordie wasn't home, so I was basically like crying because I was like, I can't get it out of the house. I thought it was dead because I like blew on it and it didn't move. But then it started like crawling and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe it ended up in my bag somehow and its wings got damaged or something. If you're my friends and you received all the Snapchats of me basically crying and not knowing what to do, this was that moment. I just it was like, it was a lot, Walnut. Like it was humongous. It was so scary. And in the end, the bee had like fallen off the bench and onto the floor, and my maternal motherly instincts kicked in, and I had to because I didn't want Kevin to like get stung from like sniffing it, because his little like pug nose. I didn't want him to like be sniffing it so much, and then the bee got afraid to sting him or whatever. So I had to get it. I had to remove it. And anyway, so I found a cardboard and I was moving it, and I didn't have it covered with a glass because I was too afraid to like just even feel the buzzing of it around the glass. Oh my God. Okay. I'm not going to get into my like fears, but the bee ended up going outside and flying away, and I did it, and I was brave, and that was really good. But the whole act of it just being there was just so random. It was so like, what the fuck? Like, there's just a giant bumblebee on my bench. And moments like that, Walnut, where I'm like, there's a little bit of like messaging behind it, right? Then another part of my story time, Walnut, is I went to a wedding on my own. If you're on the Walnut Tree, you would have seen my live video where I RSVP'd for a wedding that was up north. I didn't really like think about everything fully at the time, because Geordie had mentioned like he didn't really know the bride or the groom, so didn't want to attend, and I was like, that's fine. And because it was up north, I was like, oh, I can stay with one of my besties, everything will be great. I didn't think it through, right? So I've committed to this wedding. I'm going on my own. And the more and more it dawns on me, like, I'm going to this wedding on my own. The anxiety is created and made. And actually, after my video on the walnut tree, one of the walnuts was like, I've got a friend going. I'm going to introduce you. So I actually ended up going on like a semi-blind date with a new walnut friend, which was actually turned out really well. But there was just, how do I, Walnut, without taking up 500 years of your time, explain how nervous I was? Because I started getting really in my head about things like, where am I going to sit? What am I going to do? What do I do when the blind date person who I got introduced to, they were leaving earlier, right? And I wasn't meant to be leaving until like way later. So I was like, what? It was just a whole afternoon of strategically thinking, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? So I'm already like naturally on edge, right? Because I was every moment trying to plan where I was going to perch, what I was going to do. All that sort of stuff was sort of starting to just build and build and build. Walnut, I kid you not, and now from the bumblebee story that I had this irrational fear of bees. As I'm walking up the driveway in my short flowy dress that could be like blown up, or things could fly up at any time, I look to the right of me. I'm walking on my own. I'm about to meet my new blind date friend. We've been messaging, saying that we'll meet each other out front. I look to my right, and there's this big fucking white looking set of boxes, which I know to be a fucking bee's nest hive thing controlled by humans, honeybee things. I was like, bitch. I was like, they better not be any more closer at this fucking wedding venue. And I get there, I meet my blind date girl, we like start chatting, and I notice that people are sort of like swatting hands in front of their faces, like you kind of would have like flies, right? It's bees. It's fucking bees. Bees, fucking everywhere, Walnut. Like, I'm making out like there was a swarm. It wasn't really a swarm, but like people were actively like swatting bees away with their hands, and they were just like lovely little honeybees, but they're the ones that are shaped kind of like wasps, but they're bees. And I was shitting one. Luckily for me, Walnut, without being, because after that, the irrational fear of just bees being around me takes over, right? My anxiety of like trying to impress my new friend or like looking normal is completely gone, because I'm now walking in sheer terror. I'm like petrified, right? So lucky for me, I admit this. I'd be true to myself. And I'm like, hey, new friend, just so you know, I'm absolutely petrified of bees. I'm dying inside right now. I can't. And, like, it would be like I'd half talk and then a bee would come back, like, like flinching. My new friend was afraid of bees as well. So we basically spent the whole pre-ceremony getting to know each other, yes, but also doing cardio around the place because we're trying to avoid a bee. The wine in my hand, nice and sweet. Honeybees love that. One nearly like flew up my dress. Oh, Walnut, I can't even. And I was sweating. I was bloody sweating my arse off. Like there was pellets, sweat pellets dripping into my butt, dripping into my eye. I was just so sweaty from walking around. I was wearing giant heels. It was hot. There were bees. There was a lot going on. We were sitting at the ceremony and I'd only just met this person and I was like, oh my God, is all my makeup coming off? I knew Walnut because I was just sweating pallets. That I was a sweaty mess. And they were like, no, 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 it's fine. I'm like, thank you for being kind and lying, but that is not fine. Like my foundation was like completely come off. Like there was just so just can't believe I can't believe how embarrassing I was, Walnut. But in my own defense, I don't even recall properly being there because my body was in terrified mode. I was in shock of the bloody bees being swatted away, right? Oh, Walnut, I could get into so much more of the story, but I just wanted to sort of share this because I think just what the act of going somewhere on your own is walnutting in itself, right? Like the way that your brain kind of tries to like maneuver ways of to try and make yourself still feel comfortable while being uncomfortable. Like it's a whole process on the nervous system. But then with the added things of the bees being my most like petrified like thing in the whole world, it just amplified this to the point of like severe sweating, but also like I didn't even know the words that were sort of coming out of my mouth. And when my new friend like had to leave, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna perch over here, I'm gonna have a glass of my sav, and all my alcohol was going to my head as well. Like I was getting so drunk so quick because my body was just processing stuff like I don't even know. I sat down with someone who I'd met once, which is actually really good. So like I did that, but I look up at like the marquee and there are like bees stuck at the top of the marquee. Walnut, like it doesn't end there. Like it was always like there was always one not far away. Like that I just was so on edge. I couldn't conversate with people while at the same time my wine was like just going to my head. I was like, this is a walking this is a disaster. And so anyway, I ended up like there was one point, Walnut, where I was chatting with my beautiful bride, and one of the friends came up and she said, sorry about the bees to this person, and then this girl goes, oh my God, I know, I got stung on the head before. All that was the end. That was RIP me. Now someone has said that they got stung. I nearly burst into tears. I nearly just like spontaneous combustion right then and there. I nearly just started crying. Like, and I'm like keeping myself composed on the outside. I probably look, apart from my friend who, like, my blind date friend, I probably look very calm and collected and like, but I am dying. And when she said the stung thing, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this anymore. I managed to stay till about dinner time, and then people are still like, there's still like a bee near my glass, and I'm like, I cannot physically get dinner and eat and worry about the bees and the wines to my head, and I'm wearing high heels and all this. I couldn't do it, Walnut. So I actually had to walnut within my walnutting, and I had to leave early. I couldn't do it anymore, and I felt terrible. Like I'd committed to like staying till the end and all the festivity stuff, all the wedding stuff. Like, and I was really, when I RSVP'd, I was really willing and felt confident enough to do it, but I just got pushed over the edge, nervous system wise, that I had to be brave and go up to my friend and tell her that I'm really sorry, I have to go. And I couldn't even give an explanation. I was like on the verge of like crying. Again, I think on a surface level, I looked really calm and collected and composed, but I was fucking dying. I was dying all that. And so the friend who I was staying with, she actually managed to come and pick me up early, which was really good. But the relief when I was sat in that car, and I was so drunk. I was so drunk, Walnut, and I hadn't even finished a bottle of my wine. But it just had gone to my head. I hadn't eaten anything. I was so on edge. I sat in the car. I was a mess. I was one hot mess. So like, I'm so grateful for my friend to pick me up. I'm so grateful for my new blind date friend. I'm so grateful for my friend who was the bride, who like gracefully just not let me leave, but like just what a wild moment. So anyway, that's a really long way of telling you a story of more bees have been popping up in my life. More bees, more bees, more bee symbolism. And this has been, over a period of like a couple weeks. And then now the bee thing has been resurging again. I'm pretty sure at my house, Walnut, there's a bloody wasp nest. And I I can't go out the front of my house without feeling the fear, the fear of them. Um, and then I watched a TikTok because I'm addicted to watching TikTok readings, generic ones. And then one of them, and I can't find it anymore, was like, oh, and it's going to be really significant for you, a bee, with it, and it might not even just be like a bee in real life. It might be just like, a bumblebee on a tote bag or something like that, or it might be a bee on someone's mug or something like that. I'm sitting at my new work and a girl sits down and I look under her desk and she has a tote bag with big furry bumblebees on it. Like I get like Walmart, this is some serious shit. So with the bee symbolism, Walnut, I basically wanted to share a story time with you about the bees because maybe you are seeing lots of bumblebees or wasps or things in your life too. But when you look up the symbolism of what a bee means, they symbolize new beginnings, which yes, I am in a new job. I've got a bit of like a new sort of communication leaf within like my personal life. Has been a big 360 like tilt shift change in literal physical form, but also I think I personally emotionally have like changed a new leaf. Like I've kind of nailed the boundaries thing. I've been working really hard on myself, and I feel like the shift has come from just working hard on all those small little things. So yeah, new beginnings, also just hard work and wisdom, but also the bee can symbolize, the cooperation and hard work, but the that little things can make a really big impact. And I think that kind of all comes full circle, right? All of my little baby step walnuttings, all of my little baby step thoughts and bits of brave, or even way back when to like early episodes, asking for a pen or not wearing makeup to an interview, all of these little things have made this huge impact on like who I am right now. It's been like a huge big shift, and the bee can also represent, working together. You're never alone, right? It's like that you work together. I feel like I'm kind of going through this big like split in things where I feel very like tit for tat, and things that I feel very isolated. But actually, how can you make a situation work for you and utilize others around you, rather than you have to be the person that does all the things, right? And that's a topic that I talked about a lot. But yeah, I feel like it's no coincidence that I'm seeing lots of bee symbolism, especially around this time of my life. And I just wanted this episode to, yes, be a little bit of a story time, a bit of a debrief with you, but also just a reminder that yeah, the little things can make big impacts. And this little bumblebee episode to remind you of the little sweet things that we have in life, right? The little memories we're making, the little bits of brave, they all are a sequence and chain of events, baby steps that are leading you to being the walnut that you are. So it's just that growth part of reflecting on who you have been and why you have been that way. And sometimes a bit of forgiveness of the self is really necessary. But it's also really accepting and loving that part of you at the same time, and giving yourself that grace and giving that permission to just take a step. And it doesn't matter if it's bad or wrong, it's still a step and it's still a part of your walnut journey. And a lot of the time will be a lesson or a teaching or even just a moment of great clarity upon sitting here reflecting on funny, loving, hard, sad moments of your life. So what I'm trying to say is, Walnut, sometimes less is more. And I was having this whole episode idea about telling you the story times and the bumblebees and stuff came to me as I was brushing my teeth, because I saw somewhere, probably on TikTok, that less is more with your toothpaste. You don't actually need to do your toothpaste the whole line of the toothbrush. You just need a tiny little blob, like one little dot of toothpaste. And I did that. And I brushed my teeth very well. I still got very foamy. I still had minty fresh breath. And it is just that little reminder of the one little thing, one simple bee can cause a big, like, cooperation chain of events and make all the honey and make the world go around and make, we need bees. And so sometimes a little baby step, really does have the biggest impact. And again, I encourage you, Walnut, the baby steps, the little things, they matter, and they are still walnuttings, and they are still courageous, and they are still brave, right? So think about it when you're brushing your teeth next. Do you need the whole, you don't need to, you can put it on, you can. It won't make a difference if you use a whole row of toothpaste or if you just do the one blob. Both are impactful, both are important, and it is not less than to baby step less of what you categorize as like not a big deal. It always is a big deal. Little things are big deals. They make big deals. Small bites will eat an elephant, right? As Geordie always says. So on that note, Walnut, I hope you have enjoyed my bee symbolism. I hope you just recognize and notice in yourself today that less is more sometimes. And also that you are wonderful, and baby steps, the little things in life can have the biggest impacts as well. So on your walnut journey, may you enjoy it, may it be wonderful. And when it isn't, know that it will make you the walnut that you are. I'm not going to get all insightful. Sometimes life is really shit and sometimes it's really hard, but that's all a part of life and being a walnut as well, right? So have a happy Walnut Wednesday, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.